Where do you go if you want to find a husband? Tinder. You will find all kinds of husbands on Tinder. All these married men swiping away like they're single. So messy.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we will see how modern women don't mind being a man's mistress if he brings a lot to the table. We'll also look at how social media has made modern women so unfaithful. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year and get our first plaque. That's the only support we ask from you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Share your experience in the comments for any man who needs it. Without further introduction, let's get started.
I dated a married man and I don't feel bad. And I know a lot of people are going to leave me hate in the comments for this, but just hear me out. The story starts at my job where I met him for the first time. He came in with a bunch of his coworkers and instantly I was drawn to him. Physically, he was not my type. He was short, he was chubby, and he was also Filipino. So the night goes on and he tipped me a ton of money that night and afterwards asked me if he could take me out sometime. And I said, yeah, sure. And just because he had tipped me so much, I gave him my number and he gave me his, but I never expected to hear from him after that. But then about a week later, he texted me and he seemed really persistent to want to take me out and I was a little apprehensive, so we settled on just a lunch date. This lunch date, which was, by the way, at a super nice steakhouse, ended up turning into a shopping event. I never meant for this to be a sugar daddy situation, but when he said that he wanted to take me to Valentino and Louis Vuitton on a shopping spree, I was like, sure. Like literally at that point in my life, I had only ever owned like one Michael Kors bag. After that shopping spree, it did sort of turn into a sugar daddy, sugar baby situation, and I'm not gonna lie, he spent a lot of money and he would even pay me to hang out with him. The one odd thing was that there was never any intimate contact between us. Like there would maybe be hand holding and maybe like a kiss on the cheek, but never anything more than that. Sometimes he would joke about having a micro you-know-what, and so I assumed maybe it was because of that. And to be honest, I was getting like more and more attracted to him the more time we spent together. He was super nice to me. Like my previous boyfriend, I paid all the bills, I took care of us financially. A year into this relationship, it goes from a sugar baby, sugar daddy relationship to me actually catching legitimate feelings for this guy. So much so that he actually plans a trip to New York City, flies me out first class with him, puts me up in a 5-star luxury hotel, and invites my entire family to stay with us. He takes me to the Cartier store and buys me a forever bracelet. I thought this guy was going to propose to me. So I decided I was going to make it Instagram official and I even posted a picture of us. The trip ends, we go back home, and things take a really weird turn. And I want you guys to remember that this guy was still spending lots of money on me and specifically at Louis Vuitton. Remember that because that is an important detail.
Then you hear that money doesn't buy happiness. Remember something. A man with purchasing power, just like a man who won the genetic lottery, will always be a man who brings a lot to the table, and women don't mind sharing this type of man. Why don't I trust modern women? Because she can easily have you and a sugar daddy at the same time. That's why we always see beautiful young girls traveling, going to different countries, staying in luxury hotels, and driving fancy cars. Do you think that comes from her having a business or a great job? No, it comes because there's a sponsor who doesn't appear in the photos. And then they tell us that they didn't do anything with him. Of course, because a man who gives you all that does it for the immense pleasure of just talking to you, right? Give me a break.
The end. He starts being really flaky once we get back from our New York trip. He's not answering my text messages, and eventually I crack and I just call him up. I say, hey, can we have lunch? Because I want to know what's going on between us. So he meets up with me for lunch and he finally confesses why he's been so weird. He tells me that he's been having chronic headaches and he decided to go see a neurologist, and that neurologist told him that he had some sort of lesion or spot on his brain. Because this guy was super well connected in the Philippines and knew a lot of doctors there, he was going to go fly there for 3 to 4 weeks and figure out what was going on. And then things get even weirder. For 3 to 4 weeks, I don't hear from him at all. And because I'm so delulu, I actually convinced myself that it was probably because there was no cell phone service in the Philippines. Your girl is panicking. She's checking obituaries every single day because I'm literally thinking the worst. So eventually I say enough is enough, and I remember one thing about this man. I remember where he said he worked. And I also remember the names of one of his coworkers. So I call up his work, I ask for him, and obviously he's not in. So then I ask to be transferred to his coworker who is there. And as soon as I tell the coworker who I am and that I'm looking for so-and-so, he is like completely shocked and caught off guard. Like he tells me that he can't discuss this over the phone, but that he would like to meet up for dinner that night and tell me everything that's going on because he just feels that it's fair to me. So I start freaking out. So I meet up with this guy for dinner and I'm just like, hey, what's going on? Like so-and-so told me that he has a brain tumor possibly. He's been in the Philippines for 4 weeks. And his coworker tells me that he is indeed in the Philippines, but he's not there for the reason that he told me. He is there for the funeral of his father with his wife and 2 kids. Then I go on and tell his coworker all the things that he's been doing with me, all the shopping trips, all of the vacations, and he's like shocked that this man even has this much money to be able to spoil me this way. And I end up finding out that his wife actually works for Louis Vuitton, which explains all of the Louis Vuitton gifts. At this point, I was so heartbroken and so shocked, and I was so ready to put this all behind me. But then about 2 weeks later, I got a really scary and threatening message from a woman on my Instagram who commented on that picture that I posted of him. Obviously, his wife. Turns out she found out because he used her airline points to book our first class flights to New York City. And she saw my name on the reservation using her points. Now, obviously, this must have been devastating to her, and my sympathy goes out to her, but I felt like I was completely bamboozled as well. To this day, I still have such a hard time trusting people because this person was capable of creating such lies. This man was capable of lying not only to me, but all of my friends and family, and he kept it up for so long. So I'd like to know, do you think I'm to blame?
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
But of course, it's your fault. Men, there's no solidarity among women here. She said it herself. I thought we had a kind of sugar daddy relationship. What does that tell you? That she knew he had a wife and didn't care. After she couldn't take her suspicions any further, she decided to make it official with him, not out of love, of course, but because he pays the bills. With the modern woman, everything is about money. Remember, current feminism tells them they deserve it. Louis Vuitton purses convince any girl. Here, I want you to notice that when a man brings a lot to the table, a woman doesn't mind being his mistress. If he had been healthy, I bet she would have said, "Take that photo down. He has a wife." And she would still be with him because the man brings a lot to the table. Not in a physical sense, but economically, which is what she cares about the most.
If a man can't spend $75 or $100 on a first date, he just shouldn't be dating. If a man wants to take you on a walk or go for coffee on the first date, say no thanks and move on. And what do women commonly do to get ready for a first date, especially? New outfit, nails done, hair done, maybe buy some new makeup or perfume or jewelry. Jesse, it's not about the money. On the first few dates it is. On every date moving forward it is. When I was in my mid-20s, I think I was 25, a guy wanted to take me to the dog park for our first date because we both had dogs. I said, I'm not going to the dog park on our first date. And so he said, okay, well, what do you want to do? And in my head, I'm like, I'm already planning and we haven't even gone on the first date. So I said, you think about it and get back to me. And he never got back to me. Either he didn't like me enough or he thought that taking me out to eat was too much money, was too much effort, or he didn't have the money to take me out to dinner. Either way, not for me.
Men listen to this and then you wonder why they are just done with dating. Because why does he have to go all out on the first date when the purpose of the first date is to see if you even like each other? And for me personally, as the woman, I never put in much effort into the first date. Meaning my hair and makeup was the same that I had already done for the day. And the new dress in my closet, I didn't wear that until date number 5 or 6 that my fiance took me on. That was the expensive dinner date. And we threw some axes. My honest opinion is that women that demand these things on the first date, there's a reason for it. And unfortunately, it's because she doesn't typically make it to the second, third, fourth date. So she's feeling a certain way about never receiving these nice things from a man. But that is not the next guy's fault for the guy before him to not like you enough to continue dating you. And it's honestly a red flag, complete turn off if you catch an attitude with a man just because he's asking you what you want to do on the date because you didn't like his first idea.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no.
That type of woman shouldn't be invited. That man did the right thing by not calling. The first dates are to get to know each other, to see if this woman passes your filter, to see how she behaves, to see how she qualifies herself with you. Then, the second date can be something more expensive, or the third, which is almost always when the action happens. The next thing is, if you've had 3 dates, there should be at least some move on her part, a kiss or something. Otherwise, they're just using you for free food. Women who feel a high genuine interest in a man don't care where you take them because the more a woman likes you, the bigger the discount will be. That's why if a woman isn't willing to go on a coffee date with you, you should discard her. Taking her to an expensive restaurant on the first date is just for her to take photos for her Instagram, where everything but you will be shown.
Let me tell you the #1 reason why women cheat and why we're all so screwed because of it. Women cheat, number one, because of attention. They love attention. It's the new drug. Look at social media. Look at how like everyone gets perked up when they get a like on social media or whatever. So let me explain to you how this kind of can bleed into someone's marriage. So let's say, especially, I was telling someone this the other day, women who were raised and born and always lived their lives as a 5, 6, or 7, okay? These women, they never got complimented much in life. They never got much attention. They were always looking at the 8s, 9s, and 10s who were always getting attention. They never had that attention, right? Now they're married. They're into a marriage 5, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Again, we're talking about modern day women. I'm not talking about women in the 1990s, 2000 even. Things have changed. So now she has dyed her hair. Maybe she's got extensions. I mean, she's upgraded herself a bit. She had her babies. Maybe she got a mommy makeover. And those things are all fine and dandy to do. You should do those. I'm like, pro do that. Pro do whatever you feel. But here's what happens. A 6 turns into a 6.5. A 6 turns into a 7. And let's say she's, going to your son's soccer games, and now there's this dad that's, there, and he thinks she's good looking, and they start following each other on social media because that's innocent, right? Oh, our kids are on the same team. Like, that's so innocent what I'm doing. But she's like, oh my gosh, she asked me to follow him. So that's a little attention tick right there. Next one, she might even try to test it. She might do a gym selfie, a regular selfie, or post a picture on vacation in a bikini. And if that dude likes it, whoa, that's huge for her. Huge attention. You might as well take, that's a drug. That's equal to a drug. So then they start talking more at these games, and they're talking about a certain topic. So then they start exchanging memes, like, oh, send something funny, like through whatever social media, or maybe they have each other's phones at the, phone numbers at this point. That's when it's getting super inappropriate. But it's the attention.
Once I said, attention is the man's superpower towards women. Women always want attention, which is why platforms like Instagram are so popular, because women are addicted to the attention they get from men. How many times have we seen women being asked, the love of your life or your Instagram? They always choose Instagram. As she says, the modern woman has a mind damaged by social media. That's why a woman without social media, who doesn't live by posting suggestive clothing, is a woman worth it. But these women nowadays only want to show themselves in bikinis under the pretext that they dress for themselves. Don't fall for that. They dress to receive male attention because they are addicted to it. After they get married and have kids, this attention goes away. If they see a man giving them attention, it's very likely they will cheat because they crave it. But let's continue.
But it's the attention. And this is when women fall down that rabbit hole, because they will go ahead and do it. They'll get the attention from the guy, whether they're having the emotional affair, whether it just stays on text and stays on DMs and stays on whatever, or whether it turns into a little peck, or whether it turns into full-blown schmecks. She's going to get screwed because this guy really doesn't want to be with her, and it's not going to work. Like most affairs, I think only 5% actually work, and being married, it's just screwed up. The husband's going to have to pay her alimony and the kids' child support, and she's going to be alone, and it's the worst thing to do. I don't say you should do it. I'm just saying this is what's happening. People are destroying their lives, and social media has allowed that to happen. I remember watching a video of this girl that I used to know. She used to be my neighbor. Maybe she's watching this and she knows who she is. But Christian author, I think she's a counselor now. She started posting stuff on social media, and right then I'm like, dude, she is posting it for somebody. These are not normal posts. These are not posted for, it's look at this new, loving my new, band shirt. Actually, I don't care if she knows who I'll just give you all the details. Love my new band shirt. I'm like, she's dating someone who's into music. And she show her shoes. She was never like this. She started getting tattoos, and she was always maybe a 6. And I remember I was like, she is absolutely cheating on her husband. Fast forward a few months, husband files for divorce because she cheated on him. You got to look at the social media. It's so horrible for people. It's not a healthy thing to have social media. I mean, I have it. I get it. This is what I'm doing. I'm trying to help people. If I had it my way, I wouldn't have social media. My husband wouldn't have social media. I mean, he barely has social media, actually. He's got nothing. But that's healthy. Watch out for those 6 and 7s, guys. But other men's attention, the point of this video is other men's attention will ruin a marriage. And people who are 6 and 7s eat that up like they're on a starvation diet. Versus if you married like an 8, 9, 10, they're like, they've always gotten attention. It means nothing to them. So make sure to like, follow, and share this with somebody, anybody.
Totally. Women are emotional beings and always make their decisions based on emotions. A woman who is a 6, who, after some adjustments, sometimes even surgical, rises to a 7 or 8, sees all this male attention towards her when before barely any man would turn to look at her. This changes them. Why do you think Blue app models never show their partner, or famous Instagram women? Because they don't want to lose their simps. Social media has ruined marriages today. You see how this woman says, when you see changes in a woman, she gets a new tattoo, listens to a different kind of music, always goes out looking very beautiful when she didn't before, always hides her phone, is active on social media. Brother, this woman is receiving attention elsewhere. She is trying to belong, to continue receiving it. The worst part is they don't care if they have children, if they have a good life with you. What matters to them is being happy, seeking that emotion that the new man brings them. That's why you see that when they divorce, they always say, I deserve to be happy, or my daughter can't grow up seeing her mother unhappy, because marriage apparently is only about making the woman happy. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What warning signs does a woman give when she is being unfaithful? Do you think the woman from the first video didn't know he had a wife? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.